possibility.
And good evening, everybody. This is Scott Jordan, and you are watching live here at Cellars of Sonoma in beautiful Railroad Square, Santa Rosa, California.
Someday that'll all turn out. You'll make me work so we can work it out. And I promise you, kid, that I'll give so much more than I get. I just haven't met you yet. I might have to wait, I'll never give up. I guess it's half timing and the other half's luck. Wherever you are, whenever it's right, you'll come out of nowhere and into my life. And I know that we can be so amazing. And baby...
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to TV Tuesday Live here at Cellars of Sonoma in beautiful Railroad Square, Santa Rosa, California. And tonight, we're going to talk about the James Family Vineyard wines. We're really pleased to have Jeff and Judy James as our guest. Those of you tuning in for the very first time, what I'd like you to do is ask questions of our guests. You'll notice on the right-hand side of the video is a little chat box where you can go ahead and type in your questions. They'll come to Kevin behind me, and we'll answer them live. We'll also ask questions as we move forward in the broadcast tonight, and you can answer those questions live as well. So don't be afraid. Any question is a great question, and so we're here to entertain you. It's really a virtual wine tasting, and that's what we're going to do tonight. So let me introduce to you Judy and Jeff James. Jeff, Judy, welcome to TV Tuesday Live again, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Glad
to be here.
Yeah, and the sun is shining. Those of you tuning in from other parts of the country, I went down to the World of Pinot down in Pismo Beach. If you're freezing right now, I'm sorry. I did lay on the beach, and it was about 75 degrees, and it was absolutely beautiful. And I tasted hundreds of Pinots, literally. I mean, it was just an amazing event and a great example of the California lifestyle. We live in paradise. I mean, it's hard to.
Very lucky.
Yeah, those of you that are in these terrible climates, I feel bad for you now, but we're getting beautiful weather here. It was probably about 65 or something out there today, maybe even warmer.
At least.
Yeah. So, you guys, I want you guys to tell the folks a little bit about some of the things that you experienced during the 2010 harvest, because this was a difficult and a very strange year. So give us a little insight, and I'll pour the first wine in your lineup here, okay?
Sure. Well, it absolutely was a vintage that we're very glad to have behind us.
Yeah.
I bet.
The weather, well, and bottom line of the whole season was that we've got some fantastic wines in barrel that are really tasting great. We had a very long growing season, longer than usual, and we had a couple of challenges and risks with rain and little heat spikes here and there, but by and large it was a long, mild season, which allowed our grapes to develop little extra nuances that you don't necessarily get every year. So
yeah,
we wound up about 40% lower on our crop yield than in a normal year. So the quantity quite a bit lower than usual, and the quality is certainly better than usual in our case, anyhow.
Well, and you're really getting a natural thinning out of the crop. I mean, you would prefer not to have had it thinned out quite as much, but that's typically the goal, is to really try to thin that out as much as you can. And I think the biggest thing that we noticed around here too was, you know, it was so darn cold in our summer. Now, those of you from other parts of the country, I know that 75 degrees is not cold, but it is for us, because it really should have been 85 or 90. And a lot of the farmers went through and did their leaf removal to allow that air to flow and the sunlight to go through there, right? And then shortly after that, 110 degrees, just like that. I mean, it couldn't have been the worst time for that to happen. Yeah, which shriveled up a bunch of fruit, right? I mean, it's
right. And we, in our particular situation, we didn't really run into that much because we're in the cooler part of Sonoma County, being in the Sonoma Coast appellation. So a lot of the guys, so the heat didn't get as bad during the heat
Right,
spike
for you guys, no,
us.
yeah, probably not as much.
Yeah, because we're close enough to the coast that it never gets too hot. In fact, it's often quite windy and cold. But a lot of the guys just a little bit further inland, they got whacked because the grapes were not used to any warm weather. They hadn't toughened up.
Right.
And then they went right past warm to scorching hot weather.
And so for those of you that are tuning in from other parts of the country, Cellars of Sonoma is located about 55 miles north of the Golden Gate Bridge. Their vineyard is on the way to Cellars of Sonoma about, I would say, maybe, 10 miles south of our location. And so that's considered the Sonoma Coast region, where the temperatures typically in the summer would range from the high 80s and 90s, and then the fog will roll in and knock that down to in the 50s like that. And so perfect for Pinot Noir. And the first wine we're going to talk about is your Rosé, which was made from the Pinot on your property. So give us a little story about this wine here. This is the 2009 Rosé. So give us a little, how you're producing that a little different than a regular Pinot, right?
All right. Well, our Rosé Pinot Noir is estate produced and in very small lots. It's a wine that, as you can tell by the color, and I think Andrew probably got a good shot of that. It's a little different color than you might be used to with a lot of rosés, and we get that kind of characteristic salmon color by essentially pulling the juice off of the skins immediately at crush. I mean, we pick the grapes in the morning and we get them right over to the winery, crush them, and then pull this juice for the rosé off immediately. So very little contact with the skins. This wine is fermented in stainless steel, so it sees no oak aging at all. And what we find with our rosé of Pinot Noir is that it retains a nice crisp acidity. It's on the nose, you pick up some nice floral characteristics. On the palate, some very nice fruit, and then that acid backing it up makes it a wonderful food wine.
Yeah, right. So would you say Thai food maybe, or spicy foods?
Spicy foods go wonderfully. Another thing, this wine on a summer afternoon out on the porch with a little prosciutto and melon. That's about as good as it gets. Yeah,
no doubt about it. And the nice weather for the rest of the country will come at some point, and you'll appreciate having a beautiful rosé like this. Wonderful price point, $18 for this wine, all estate fruit. I challenge you guys every week, anybody local, if you can go in a grocery store and find a state-grown, small production rosé under that price point, good luck. You're just not going to see it. It just doesn't exist. I mean, this is a handcrafted wine. I mean, you guys are involved in every single bit of the process. You don't have a big team of people making your wine.
Right.
A two-person team.
2 persons, that's 40 cases.
Gotta love that. So I'm gonna ask a question. And then we're going to take a break, but those of you watching live, you'll still be watching us live. We'll just take we stop the recording, so we make these segments down around 10 minutes. So I'm going to ask a question, and then on the end of the other side of the break, I'll give you the answer. This is a true and false question, so you got 50% right out of the gate, so you should be able to get this. And this is something that we hear a lot in the tasting room, and this is good information for you. If you are switching to a different wine in your glass, it's best to swirl some water into the glass first. True or false? So if you're switching the vintage, not the vintage, but the varietal, it's best to put a little bit of water in there before you switch. At the end of the break, we'll be right back, and we will give you the answer to that